guys, good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Monday, beginning of a new week, and more Manchester United news stories to get into. So hope everyone is doing very well. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. It must be said, it's quite refreshing, isn't it? A little bit, because we wake up Monday morning and the sky isn't falling. Yes, the world is not ending. Manchester United is not on fire, and we don't have 10 million stories talking about Erik ten Hag, the dressing room, players, revolts, etc, etc, etc. I mean, that's going to come. It's always going to come. It's Manchester United at the end of the day. But I think people are more talking about the Chelsea crisis, and they're talking about the North London derby as opposed to Manchester United. And I welcome it, because just one quiet week at Manchester United, that's what we want, certainly. Nevertheless, there are some things I do want to chat about this morning. A bit of a squad shake-up, possibly, given that our Carabao Cup campaign begins tomorrow at Old Trafford. So there's going to be plenty to discuss about that. An update when it comes to Sergio Reguilon, and possibly already United looking to make his move permanent, possibly in January or at the end of the season. We'll chat about that. And Rasmus Højlund, praise for Rasmus Højlund from another famous striker. So plenty to get into this morning. A bit of a shorter, a bit of a sharper, a bit of a sweeter news update for you on the Morning View. So starting off with this squad shake-up, as I mentioned, Manchester United's Carabao Cup campaign begins this week at Old Trafford, and it's actually the beginning, well, I suppose you could say actually, Saturday was the beginning of a really positive run of fixtures, at least on paper, for Manchester United. As I mentioned, the Carabao Cup campaign begins tomorrow at Old Trafford, 8 p.m. kickoff against Crystal Palace, the beginning of two back-to-back games against Crystal Palace at Old Trafford, one being tomorrow at 8 o'clock, the other being Saturday, 3 o'clock at Old Trafford as well. And it's going to be interesting to see what Erik ten Hag does when it comes to his team selection for that one. We kind of touched on this a little bit last night on the Full View, but I really want to know what your thoughts are about it as well. So let us know in the comment section below what starting 11 you think that Erik ten Hag is going to select for the game tomorrow at Old Trafford. Of course, we'll go into it more in previews and things like that, but I really do think, and I know that we've got such an injury crisis at the moment at United, and that's kind of the thing, isn't it, that he's probably going to be weighing up. Momentum versus resting the players and making sure they're ready because we've got so many injuries. Now, looking at last season, where we played more games than anyone else across Europe, Erik ten Hag doesn't like to rotate. He might make one or two changes, but if the team is winning, if the team in his eye is building momentum, in his perception is building momentum, he likes to keep the same team, because to him, momentum and that winning feeling is very important. We saw that last season. We saw it coming out of the World Cup, didn't we? Where we had a lot of cup matches at the time. We had FA Cup matches, Carabao Cup matches against inferior opposition, really, whether it was Burnley at the time, I think, and they were in the Championship. We had Charlton, we had Reading in these cup matches that they were lower league teams, and still he played a fairly similar team in all of them, because his mindset was, if we can just keep building that momentum, we can keep winning games, it will spill over into the Premier League. And it did, because during that period of time, we beat Man City at home, and we were one of the most informed teams in the league. And I think he might look at tomorrow's game with a similar mindset, but this time he has to weigh up, but I've got injuries, and I can't afford realistically to lose any more players. Now, we do have some players coming back. Of course, we saw Sofiane Amrabat make his debut for United at the weekend. Possibly he could start, get more minutes. Mason Mount looks like he's going to be on his way back. He wasn't on the bench at the weekend, but he was training last week. Rafael Varane came on. Injury layoff for him recently as well. I don't think he'll play, though, tomorrow. I think he'll be saved for the game at the weekend. As far as other names, Kobbie Mainoo, of course, he's still training on the grass. He's still a few weeks away. But there were names that weren't used, of course, on Saturday, where it comes to Alejandro Garnacho, Facundo Pellistri, Anthony Martial, Donny van de Beek. They all didn't get on. And I know that Donny's a bit of a frozen-out figure, and he should have left in the summer. Reportedly, he did have offers to leave in the summer, and he didn't. Why he didn't, I don't know. I think that's more on him and on United as well, for the inability to get that one done. But when it comes to a game like the Carabao Cup, that's when you say, look, okay, maybe you play in that one. I'd be surprised if we didn't see Martial start. I'd be surprised if we didn't see Facundo Pellistri start. But the interesting one is Marcus Rashford in that situation, isn't it? Because I have a sneaky suspicion and a feeling that Marcus Rashford will start in the Carabao Cup tomorrow at Old Trafford. Now, you might say, why, Owen? He is bang out of form. He is looks to be struggling with confidence. Now, obviously, that thing happened on Saturday evening, the crash and all that kind of stuff, which Rashford looks to be fine, and he's a bit shaken up. So possibly that might play a part in it, of course. Ten Hag might have had intentions to start him, and then because of that, he wants to give him some time off. I don't know. But my feeling is that Rashford will start, and the reason I think he will start is because he's not playing well. It's because he looks like his confidence has disappeared. It's because it looks like he's second-guessing himself, because Marcus Rashford played in those kind of games last season, again, to do what? Build up momentum, score goals, get himself going. And I think it might be something similar. I don't think he's going to play the whole game, but I think Ten Hag might look at a player like a Rashford and say, right, I need you to start playing better. And I'm going to do that by playing you in a game that's a bit of a lesser game. How serious Palace are going to take it, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Roy Hodgson, he might be one of those managers where he just goes, no, we're not interested in the Carabao Cup. We're not going to play a strong team. Or he might look at it and say, looking at the Premier League this season, I think Crystal Palace are going to go down. It looks like all three of the promoted sides are going to struggle this season. It looks like they're going to be the ones really battling that relegation. It looks like Palace are pretty comfortable realistically. They've managed to keep the likes of Elise. Eze reportedly is going to be in negotiations for a new contract as well. So they're an established Premier League side. So given their status in the Premier League, why wouldn't they try and go for a trophy? Why wouldn't they go, okay, let's try and get the Carabao Cup. Let's see if we can do something pretty special. So they might play a strong team. And again, if that is the case, then United play a strong team as well. But I think that Ten Hag will play a bit of a strong side. I think people like Hannibal will probably continue as well. Reguilon, we'll get to him in a second. It's the back four. How do you predict that back four? I don't know. But the ShakeUp could also come in goal as well. Bayern Dia, I think, probably should start in that game, considering that he will need game time, particularly come January, because it looks like Andre Onana is going to be going out for AFCON. So it's an interesting one. So what do you think when it comes to that squad shake-up? Do you think we are going to see a shake-up tomorrow, or do you think it's going to be largely more of the same? And again, is that by design by Ten Hag, or is it just a case of, well, he hasn't really got many other people to pick from? So let me know your thoughts about that. And as I mentioned, a longer form preview will be coming later today as well. A bit more of an update when it comes to Sergio Reguilon as well. We kind of touched on this too yesterday. Fabrizio Romano is saying that the Manchester United coaching staff are very happy with Sergio Reguilon, both on and off the pitch. He has a fantastic attitude. He has a good relationship with his new teammates and understand Erik Ten Hag's ideas. Now, some people are suggesting already, give this guy a contract, make him permanent, all that kind of stuff. Too soon. I think way too soon to be suggesting anything like that with Reguilon. I mean, you have to look at why he's here. He's here because we've got an injury crisis at fullback, and not just on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side as well. But he deserves the praise that he's getting. He deserves the praise that he's getting, and I've spoken about this quite a bit, that I think it speaks volumes of where we're at the moment, that our best performing players, not our best players in terms of quality, but our best performing players are all players that realise that they shouldn't be in this position. They shouldn't have this opportunity right now. Sergio Reguilon, he knows I was third choice at Spurs, and I shouldn't be going to Manchester United, but injuries dictate. I've got an opportunity that I'm incredibly fortunate to get, and I'm going to try and take it. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make this work. And if I can't do it by my quality, I'm going to do it by just working hard and committing myself, showing determination, showing grit, which is far more than a lot of Manchester United players are showing at the moment as well. Johnny Evans, another one. I shouldn't be in this opportunity. I'm 35. I shouldn't be starting at centre-back for Manchester United in the Premier League at 35, or even coming on as a sub against Arsenal for Manchester United in the Premier League. But here I am, and I'm going to take the opportunity. I'm going to do everything I can to turn this into something, and that's a credit to him. Hannibal in the last game, he realised as well, I could have left in the summer. Borussia Dortmund were interested in me. I was on loan last season at Birmingham, and if everyone's fit, I'm not in this team. But here I am, I'm starting, and I'm going to make the most of it. And I think that says a lot about their personality. I think it shows a lot about their determination to try and make this count and take opportunities. Not just, we talk about taking opportunities when in football we mean like putting the ball in the back of the net, but realistically taking opportunities also as well as having these strange circumstances and making the most of them. I spoke about Marcus Rashford. He might not have a Manchester United career had it not been for injuries and strange circumstances of him starting a Europa League game when Martial gets injured. And football can be funny like that sometimes. It's about form, it's about timing, it's about opportunity. And Sergio Reguilon's found himself an opportunity here, and it looks like he's trying to take it. Now, hopefully, he doesn't have a hamstring injury. I know Ten Hag said he was ill, but it's an illness that clearly affected his hamstring a little bit as well. But credit to him. As far as making it permanent, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's get to December. I know he has a break clause in the loan in January, and they put that in there, I think, United, with the intention to break his loan in January, but maybe they don't. I would still suggest wait till the end of the season. Sergio Reguilon is not going anywhere, unless there's a recall clause for Spurs, but I don't think there is. So you've got time in this instance. There's no need to rush into anything. Manchester United, particularly in recent history, have been quite rash when it comes to decisions, and I don't think they need to be when it comes to Reguilon. They don't need to be rash when it comes to the decision-making on his future, but 100%, Owen. If he continues it till the end of the season, then there's a conversation to be had. And particularly when you look at the seasons that Shaw and Malacia do or don't have by that point, season's a long time. We'll see how it plays out. But he deserves a ton of credit for the work that he's done so far. Absolutely. Now, also, another player at Manchester United that is getting a bit of credit at the moment is Rasmus Højlund, and the praise is coming from one Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker has said about Manchester United's new striker signing, quote, "I have watched him in his first 2 or 3 games, and he's only scored 1 goal against Bayern, but it looks to me like he will score goals. I like his movement." Now, when it comes to Rasmus Højlund, it's a funny one, isn't it? I still have a little bit of concern about his fitness status. Of course, he came in, had that back problem where he couldn't play for a few weeks, where they said it was nothing serious, it was a minor thing, but if they had sort of pushed him through it, it could have potentially become a stress fracture or something major. He took his shirt off after the game, and you could see he had all of this strapping on his back, and he had the cup marks on his back from cup therapy. Which some said to me the other day, oh, that's not because he's got an injury, but it is. It is. I mean, cup therapy is to alleviate pressure or pain or help speed up injuries as well. Or it could be a preventative measure as well. So clearly they're still being cautious when it comes to the back problem. He's played now 2 games back-to-back, 90 minutes. 3 games back-to-back. Oh no, he didn't play the full 90 against Brighton, did he? But the point is he's starting to put minutes on the board now for United. And like what Gary Lineker is saying, I agree. Gary Lineker. I agree that his movement is excellent, and particularly if you look at a lot of his goals actually that he scored at international level too, he'll be in the box, he's waiting for that cross to come in, and he's going in front of the centre-back, behind the centre-back, trying to go in between. He's difficult to pick up. And you did notice it against Burnley too, is he'll be in a fight. He will be in a fight, in a contest with that centre-back for the full 90, and he'll occupy them, and he'll hold the ball up, and he'll lay it off. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Some of his touches are still a bit rough, and he still is a bit incomplete sometimes, and you're looking at some of the final decisions that he makes and you go, it could be better, but he's young and he will get better. My only concern about Rasmus Højlund this season, well actually I suppose there's probably 2. One is fitness. You just want to be cautious that, again, we don't run him into the ground, because we do have a habit of that at United, of running these young players into the ground. And 2, you worry about the service that he's going to get to. He is a striker. You can tell by watching him now for a couple of games, 2.5 games, however long it's been, he will be a striker that does require service, that does require, again, getting balls in the box to him. He will make those runs. He will be in the 6-yard box. He will be occupying defenders, but you've got to find him. He's not one of those strikers that's going to do it all by himself. Again, I like his hold-up play. I like that he can receive the ball with his back to goal, hold the ball up, lay it off to the wingers, whether they be Rashford, whether they be Pellistri, whether they be Bruno, whether they be whoever. But he is a striker that needs to be found. And when it comes to Marcus Rashford, he's got to learn that. Last season, it was all about Marcus Rashford. He was the one up front that was scoring the goals, winning the games for Manchester United, and that's great. But that's not the role this season. It's about getting the ball into the box to Rasmus Højlund, as well as scoring goals and affecting the game. But his game has got to become not so one-dimensional now. Last year, it was fine to be one-dimensional, which was get the ball, take on a fullback, score. That's what it was. This year, it's not about that. It's also it's that plus trying to find the striker. And I know that he said that he's had conversations with Højlund and they're trying to link up, and hopefully that will come in time. But the decision-making needs to be better, because I will give him credit for, against Burnley, that he was trying at points to find Højlund, but his decision-making was so off that when he had times to shoot, he passed, and when he had time to pass, he shot. And to me, that's coming from poor decision making, but also just a lack of confidence. You feel like he's second guessing himself. So that will have to come. That will have to get better. But I agree certainly with what Gary Lineker was saying about Rasmus Højlund there. I do agree that I do think he'll score goals, and I think he'll be positive for Manchester United this season. It looks like Anthony Martial for now is still fit, so that's good support too. And Martial did play well when he came on against Bayern Munich. So there's certainly some room for optimism when it comes to the striking department, I think, at United so far this season. But there you go, guys. As I mentioned, a much shorter, sharper, sweeter edition of the Morning View today. Let me know your thoughts on some of those stories. Let me know your thoughts on Sergio Reguilon. Would you already consider a permanent Reguilon move, or is that a bit too soon? But do you think he could end up being a Manchester United player permanently? And what are your thoughts when it comes to Rasmus Højlund's praise that he has received from Gary Lineker? Is it justified or is it not justified? Let me know your thoughts about that. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Plenty of content coming out today. As I mentioned, Tactical View will be out, Cam breaking down the results against Burnley on Saturday at Turf Moor, in addition to the preview for tomorrow's Carabao Cup clash. So always going to struggle with that one. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good one. Peace.